Here's a quick introduction to the NEO. The NEO can be used for several things. When you turn on the NEO, you have 8 active file spots. For middle school and high school teachers, we've set up the files to be password protected. So the master password that you can share with students is WRITE, W-R-I-T-E. Once they enter WRITE, they have an empty file spot. There's 8 empty file spots, which means you could be working on 8 projects at once. You can save 90 files in the NEO. So here's a file that I wrote. I wrote the Pledge of Allegiance over and over again with spelling errors in it. Now a lot of the upper grade students and teachers are frustrated because they can't see a lot of their writing. Well, on the back of the NEO, there's a shortcut list of all these different things you can do to make writing easier, which is the point of using the NEO as a writing tool. If you hold down Control, Option, Command, and F, you have the choice to make the font smaller. Now you can see your writing. If you use any of these keys with the arrow keys, they'll do different things. The control arrow down will take you by paragraph. The control arrow one way and another doesn't seem to do much here. So the Alt will take you up a line or over a word. The Command will take you down a screen. So there's all sorts of editing tools you can use. Home will take you back to the beginning, End will bring you to the end. You can save on a NEO by doing Control S. It will ask you to save the file. I always suggest that students start with their initials because then all their files on a NEO are going to be right next to each other. So I would save this CJB Pledge and hit Enter. Now this is going to stay in this active file spot until I clear it. When I clear the file and hit Yes, that means this file spot is now available for any other student to use. If I come in the next day and I want to open the file, Control O and go down on the list, and there's my pledge. Enter the password. For right now it's right. Now, what's the point of a password if everybody knows it? By doing, and if it's my memory here, I think it's Control, Command, and P. Nope, Control, Option, P will let me change the password from right to something else. I always suggest that students use the same password that they use in school. All right, now I'm going to hit Escape because I don't need to do that, and I can clear the file. Now another thing that you can do with the NEO is if you choose applets, there's several different applications you can use with the NEOs. If you go to Accelerated Reader, you can take an AR quiz. If you go to Keywords Wireless, you can set up your students so they can actually do the keyboarding program within the NEO. Now, if you do the keyboarding program with the NEOs, I strongly recommend, especially for the first few weeks of class, that you go around and monitor how students are using their finger placement, because that is key. It's pointless to reinforce bad habits, but if you can change their habits to get them to really study the keyboarding and do the keyboarding correctly, then you're a rock star. Math Facts in a Flash is just like flashcards for very simple math problems. The control panel, the beamer, you can allow students to beam projects back and forth to each other. This has been a real success in the elementary grades, and in the middle school and high school grades they're not really using this yet because they're waiting to get more comfortable with the NEOs, and classroom management issues flare up because of, kids doing things that they shouldn't be and all of that. So, but it is a possibility, and it's something you can do on the NEOs. Now, what makes the NEOs paperless, oh, they have a calculator too. Okay, so what makes them paperless is when you go to Alpha Word. Sorry, I'm doing this fast. I got to get out and get down to the Learning Center. Control O. I'm going to get my file open. Enter my password. The password is a little bit of a headache, but I think in the long run it's worth it for things that you want them to edit and not copy from each other. So here I have on my screen NEO Share. If I open NEO Share, I'm going to throw these away. This is my project from yesterday. I can, on the NEO, Command Send. This is a great idea for bell ringers, and exit tickets. You don't have to save every file. They could just send you a file and not have to save it. Your name would be here. That's something that the techs have to set up in each school. We're going through NEOS Share. It does not work with Google Docs. If you don't open NEOS Share, then they won't see that as a possibility. And boom, there's my file. A teacher can double click this and see it on the spot. I'll bring it over here. Oh, let me bring it over here because the NEOS Share does become kind of transparent, and that's something, it bugs me, but all you have to do is minimize it and it won't bother you. Now, the first time you open up a student's work, you want to go to Word Wrap. You'll never have to do that again, and it'll say everything that they have, okay? It'll show everything that they have. Now, you can, if you want, you don't have to look at it right then. If you check this and click the Save button, you can save it to anywhere you like. I'm going to put this on the desktop because I'm going to throw it away. So that's one way to have a wireless classroom. You can also write something to students. If you had something like this is, oh, wrong keyboard. This is the question of the day, right? When students are on the NEO, I'm going to clear this file. That's what you want to remember. If you're not having them save it, make sure they clear the file. So they send you a file and then clear it. Now if I do Command O, NEO Share, enter the password. This is the question of the day. So you can send them prompts. You can even send them long files if you save them as plain text. Now this is not the how to do it, but you can add a file here and send it to the students and make it available to the students. So that's one way to use NEOS Share. The other way you can use it is by setting up a test. You can get your classes imported from Renaissance Place, all your students, they're already in there, and in a click of a button, you can go to assignments. You can set up an assignment in your gradebook. Let's add an assignment. You can't see that. I'm sorry. It's over here. So now I have this assignment, and it's waiting here for me to have students do it. So I go to the responder. I click Start Student Paced Session. My student-paced session is starting. On the NEOS, the students go to Applet, Responder, and Excel Test Student ID. It would be their student ID because you've imported them from Renaissance Place. Courtney, are you ready to work on? Yes, absolutely. Sending responses. And this one would be just like a Scantron sheet. I would enter A, just you know, whatever. This is if you had like a paper test to give them. You can also have it so that questions show up in here. Okay, so there's, I mean, this is a tip of the bucket. I feel like there's always more. Oh, there is always more. You can connect what they write in the NEO to a computer. So let's say you have kids working on a project and they're in groups and each student has an assignment and they've written their work in the group, in the NEO. They all connect to one student's work, open a PowerPoint, and just send. All you do is connect it to the computer and you send it, and it will show up in that PowerPoint file on each slide. So again, the possibilities with the NEOs are endless, but it does take some time for the teacher to start the process. You need to check out the NEOs. You need to make sure each student has a NEO assigned to them, because that way if the one is damaged, you know who might be responsible. Also, if they're saving work on the NEOs, they want to be able to use the same NEO over and over. You don't have to have them saved. They can just write their answers and send it to you and clear their file, and boom, you're done. We are more than happy to support you in your adventure of using the NEOs in your classroom. There are teachers that have used very strong Velcro to attach them to desks. There are other teachers that found those little file card holders and they put the NEOs in there and the students get them easily. There's a little bit of management to get over, but I think once you use them and you get used to using them, you're going to find them as a very valuable tool. Absolutely, my favorite comment was when the teacher said Their writing journals are more in-depth and more eloquent when they use the NEOS to send her their journal entries, and that is worth it all to me. So that's my NEO in a flash, everything I know about NEOs in 10 minutes or less.